Hello, I'm Jerry Riley with You Can Check Us Out Now. I'd like to welcome you to today's broadcast. We have a very special guest with us, Jim Bill Copeland, and we'll bring him on in just a moment. But as always, one of the things I'd like to mention before we get started is to shop local. Our local merchants are the lifeblood of our community, and I just would like for you to remember our local merchants when you go get ready to buy something. They need your support. Today, many people are buying stuff online through Amazon and big box stores. And again, our local merchants are the lifeblood of our community, and they certainly need your support. Throughout the broadcast, I'll be scrolling information across the bottom about some of our local merchants. And again, I just urge you to remember them, go by and tell them Jerry Riley said hello. You know, we went through a very, very challenging week and a half, 2 weeks with this very severe cold front we had. Not only was it cold, we had snow. And, I just thought it was very appropriate to bring Jim Bill Copeland on with us today. Jim Bill is the Emergency Management Director for not only the city of Okemah, but also for Ofuskie County. And so I'd like to add Jim Bill to our broadcast. Jim Bill, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Jerry.
Well, I'm just really glad that you're here. I'm gonna put your information up here so people can give you a call if they ever need anything. You know, Jim Bill, as I mentioned on the intro, we had a very unique situation that struck our area a week and a half ago. I know one morning at my house it was minus 14 degrees. Our heater just couldn't keep up with the temperature. Pipes were freezing. Roads were slick. Power was being conservation with our power. PSO, East Central Electric, was cutting power off to help prevent what happened down in Texas. Luckily, we didn't have that happen in our area. But this was an all hands on deck event where not only did the power companies have to really be concerned about conserving power. You, as emergency management director of Ofuskie County and the city of Okemah, I know was extremely busy. And I want to talk a little bit, Jim Bill, about what you experienced with the water problems that we had. I know this was a team effort. It wasn't just Jim Bill. And so I want to take and tip my hat to everyone. But it started off, I understand, out at the lake. Could you tell us a little bit about what happened without getting too technical as to what caused us to have the issue with the water outage, where it started, and just share a little bit of that with us, please.
Okay. We started with the day it was snowing with some issues with the water plant. And so David was checking the water lines between the water treatment plant and the Okemah Lake. And he finally found a significant leak that was causing the problems late in the afternoon. And they got that fixed. And just as they were fixing that issue, a piece busted in the pump house at the Okemah Lake. Now, that pump house is where the water is drawn up and then pumped through the raw water lines back to the water treatment plant. And so when that piece broke, it shut the pump house down. And what water we had at that point is what we had in our water towers, and not just Okemah, but Rural Water District 2 towers, as well as Rural Water District 3 towers. So we tried through that night till about 4:30 the next morning, trying to fix that. And we got it put back together. But what we were hoping would be a temporary hold till we could get other parts in place so we could get water going. After all that effort and all those hours, that would not work as well. And just so the folks know, that pump house is, it looks big, but it's not. It's full of pumps. It's full of big piping, electric lines, and there's continually, because water's moving in that facility, there's water on the floor constantly, and so they had frozen ice 2 and 4 inches deep that they were trying to stand on. These pipe in this particular valve was of a size that it took 2 and 3 people to move one piece once it was off. The bolts had been in place for many years, so you couldn't unscrew them. They had to be cut off, and so that took a long time. Not room to work. It was ice cold. Everything was freezing. We had portable heaters in, trying to keep it warm enough for the men to be in there and work. So it wasn't a very ideal situation trying to work in that environment. And then we had the extreme cold temperature setting in, and real heavy snow that we were dealing with. They were trying to switch the raw water lines, seeing if one would work better than the other with that system when we got it, try to get it up and going. So the guys have to basically lay down and manually move that valve as they were doing that night out in the wide open. And that particular box has water in it most of the time, I think all the time. So they were having to have their hands and arms down inside that water, which was, you can imagine, extremely cold. And so, it's kind of one of those things, people don't see that side of it, but the men that are there working, they know it all too well.
Well, Jim Bill, I guess if there's any consolation to this, it wasn't just Okemah, it wasn't just Ofuskie County. I understand most of Henrietta or half of Okmulgee was without water. I was over in Shawnee this past Sunday, and went to eat, and the restaurant where we went to did not have water to drink, drinkable water. We had to get bottled water. They were serving a limited menu. Everything was on paper plates and plastic forks and spoons because they were under a situation of no drinkable water. They couldn't wash dishes. So right. The point being, it wasn't just Ofuskie County. It wasn't just Okemah. And I just have to tip my hat again. I cannot imagine. I mean, when I went out and fed the livestock, that was unbearable. I can imagine. No, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it would be like working in that the element of ice and hand out in that freezing water. Now, let me ask you this, Jim Bill. Once you repaired out at the lake, what's the process you go through to turn the valve back on? Do you have to be cautious in turning the valve on, and what problems could exist if you turn it on all at one time?
Well, anytime you've got in that situation where we were completely down, and by the time we got it fixed, everything was out of water. Everything, when I say everything, all the water towers, the water lines, was completely used up and gone. Rural Water District 2 and Rural Water District 3, all of their towers were emptied. Now, there was places that lasted for maybe a few days past that, but they were kind of on the far ends of those districts where the water hadn't just completely been used up. But at some point, everybody did run out of water. And as you said, Okmulgee County, a big part of Okmulgee County was out of water. Hughes County, Dustin, and Wetumpka were out of water. And then in northern Seminole County, as you know, the town of Cromwell, who is fed their water through Ofuskie District 2 rural water, they were out. So there was at least, I would estimate, half of Ofuskie County or more that was without water by the time that was all said and done. Once the water is fixed, once everything was put back and the pumps were brought back up, you have to bring the pumps up slow. If you bring them up hard and fast, you're going to more likely create a water hammer, which is going to start busting your raw water lines, bringing water to town. So You have to bring the pumps up slow and easy. That takes time. And you want the line to fill pretty much all the way. So um, I don't remember. I think it takes about 45 minutes to an hour for the water to reach from the lake to town, because it has started up slow enough that it doesn't bust anything, we hope. And so once you get one pump going and you get the line full, then you can bring it up, and then you can bring another pump online to bring additional water in. So once in that respect, we were up and going there. We were bringing in almost 1,500 gallons of water a minute that was coming to the plant being processed. Now, there was a couple of days that we had some pump issues uh, that was on the electrical side that had to be reset and fixed. So those weren't big issues, but once it happens, you got to stop everything, go out there, make sure what it is, reset it, fix it, get it going again. So that takes time. Um, Once we got water flowing, we've got to fill our 1 million-gallon tank that's at the plant. That's where Rural Water District 2 draws its water for their pumps to pump out to all of their customers. That's got to have enough water in it that once uh, District 2 turns their pumps on, they don't drain it. We've got to keep water going to that to keep it at a certain level for them to operate. For District 3, Rural Water District 3, our water towers in the industrial park and the Woody Guthrie Tower, those towers have to be full. Our system to put water to District 3's got to have pressure. Our pressure comes from having our towers full. A lot of people didn't understand that and got mad that we were not giving them water. We need to shut everything off so we could give them water. We can't give them water till we're full on our end. I realize there's some towns, and I'll use Henrietta as an example. Henrietta shut off all of their customers one night and basically filled their water towers. Well, our system's not built like that. Our distribution lines go to everyone's houses, everyone's businesses, and at the same time, they're set up to fill our towers with water and to take water out of the towers and send it on. So our system has to be up full to operate, certainly for Rural Water District 3. Once we knew we were out, I'd made phone calls while the guys were working on the very first night trying to get things fixed, and let the state emergency management know. And I'd already said we're going to probably need some water buffaloes, and we're probably going to need bottled water before this was over with. And little did I know how much we would need all of that and a lot of it. As it was, there was folks already calling even ahead of this county for the same resources. So I was able to get with Tim Creighton, the director for Okmulgee County, and he brought, along with my assistant director, Keith Green, they brought the water buffaloes from Okmulgee County. And we had those for 2 days. On the second day, it's when Okmulgee County started having their issues. So Tim came and got one of them, left one. So we were giving potable water in bulk to anyone that needed it. And then by the third day, we finally got some bottles of water from the state. We started out with 8 pallets. We give 1 pallet to the town of Cromwell due to their water loss, and 1 pallet went to Creek Nation Community Hospital here in Okemah. So we were given pallets of water off and on for the next 4 days. I even went with Steve Palladino from Wetumpka, that's over all of that with the state emergency management. We went up on Saturday and picked up a load of pallets and brought back. And of course, you never know how many is going to be available. What we were told was available, what we asked for wasn't what we had when we got there. So we get what's available, bring back and go with that. We give out notice through our emergency phone contacts and kept advising people. I had My daughter and JC Haddocks were putting notices on our emergency management website and helping me with that. And I would like to say a big thank you, not to myself in any way, but to the men that were working trying to get all of this up and going for Okemah, the city of Okemah, Rural Water District 2, and Rural Water District 3. Well, if you give me that opportunity, I'd like to say the folks that were working all of those days around the clock, David Swayze and all the men that worked for him, of course, our city manager, Miss Hughes, our water plant, we had Aaron Calero and Brandon Foster. They were working 12 and 14-hour shifts around the clock. Our Okemah police chief, anytime we have something like this, he and I have always got together and gone out for whatever we need to do. Skeeter was right there in the pump house working with them in those freezing temperatures. And all of them, when they finally finished, no matter how many layers of clothing they had on, they were all soaking wet. So that was, that's just kind of a hard environment to work in. But Skeeter's always out there helping us no matter what we've got. Rural Water District 2, Eugene Cheatwood and Ed Dennis, they worked around the clock. And for Rural Water District 3, we had Nancy Dodson, their manager. David and I were talking to Nancy every day. I was getting updates of how many of their customers didn't have or how many needed water, what was going on, relaying that to the state. The same way with District 2, I was talking with Eugene Cheatwood daily. A lot of people were saying that we weren't in contact. We were in contact, and we were doing all we could possibly do. Once we got our water up and flowing, then Real Water 2 turned on a small pump and started trying to fill their lines, and they're having to do the same thing we did. They're having to fill them slow so they don't create water hammers to break their lines, and which would cause them even far greater problems. When we finally got our towers up, District 3 were turning their pumps on for a period of time and then turning them off, filling their lines, letting the water flow. And that was after we had opened a valve. I say we, David Swayze had opened the valve that feeds District 3 about a third or fourth of the way. Again, if he'd opened it all the way, there's no telling how much damage that water would have done to lines downstream. So once we were able to turn things on, David went ahead then and slowly opened our valve up, which allowed District 3 then to start their pumps, or I think they started one, would run it for a period of time, then shut it off for a period of time, letting the water flow and gravity, and so they didn't have any problems as well. So just flipping a switch and putting water back to everybody is not as easy as most folks think it is. Unfortunately, we wish it was that way, but it's not. So, my hat's off to all these men and women that were working around the clock, making sure that we had. The state emergency management furnished, I think, a total of 12 pallets of water that they brought or we brought in, and we handed out. Folks would come in and say, "I've got a neighbor here or an aunt and uncle over here." We're like, "Give us their information and take water to them." So hopefully we didn't keep anybody from getting water that they needed. We put the word out there as best we could and ask everyone to spread that. And I think a lot of people did help us in that respect.
Well, you have my respect, and the whole city does. I know you did a great job, and Miss Jane Hughes did a great job getting information out to the community about what was going on. I know sometimes it may have felt like you're getting inundated with phone calls, but I'd rather have too much information than not enough information. And you just did a really, really good job. Jim Bill, I can't overemphasize how much I appreciate what you did. We get spoiled. Like I said earlier, we walk into a room, we flip a switch, we want the lights on, we go to the water hydrant, we turn it on, we want the water to flow. And when we don't have that, sometimes we get frustrated. But it's y'all did an exemplary job, and the whole community wants to thank you for that. Jim Bill, we have a lot of things we can talk about. We're running out of time today, but I'd like to invite you back. There's some other topics I think that's very important. We're coming up on, I hate to say it, tornado season, how people can prepare for inclement weather. We had a fire recently on 5th Street. I want to bring you back where we talk about what we can do to help safeguard our home and with smoke detectors. So if you're agreeable, I'd like to bring you back in the not too distant future. Let's talk about being prepared for fires. And you've worked with the fire department, you've taught fire departments on fire safety. So would you be agreeable to come back in the not too distant future, and let's talk about the inclement weather that we're known for in Oklahoma? And there's a number here, 918-623-1050. If anyone wants to get on that call list and be notified when there's inclement weather, give Jim Bill a call. He can put you on the notification system. So give him a call. If you want to come off the no call or don't want to be called, again, give him a call and they can take you off. Would you be agreeable to come back to talk about how we can be prepared for the inclement weather that we may have, if it's like we usually have in Oklahoma? And let's talk about fire preparation.
I'd be glad to, Jerry. And let me say, we do get calls periodically, as you know, from folks that want to be removed off of that list, moved down the area. They've got a phone number that someone had here that turned in, got a different phone. So we're not above removing people if they want off that list for whatever reason. But I think that's a great thing that you have provided that we have access to have that call out to notify the people within the city of Okemah of issues there, or if it's a countywide, that we can go countywide with that. So I want to say thank you on that.
Well, I appreciate that. Jim Bill, again, thank you very much for your time today. It's late Friday afternoon. You've had a long 2 weeks. I know you're ready to get home with your family. And again, we just want to thank you, and let's plan one of these sessions again in the not too distant future. And again, thank you very much for what you, Jane Hughes, and the whole city and all the people that you work with. Thank you very much for what you did over the last couple of weeks.
Jerry, if I can add one more item. Don't forget that tomorrow they're going to be doing the mass COVID vaccination with the health department at the Fusky County Fair Barn. And so I think they still had some slots empty. They were going to open up statewide this afternoon to try to fill them. But the majority of what they're looking for has come from Fusky County. And I'm not saying there's anything available, but if someone still needs a shot or wants to get that vaccine, they could come by. I'm not going to say they're going to be allowed in, but they can come by at least see if there's a vacancy that they could fill. And there's going to be an opening to come in and direction to go out. And so what they were looking for in this round is for anyone 65 years of age and older, first responder personnel, which is police, fire, emergency management, EMS, school officials, teachers, staff, any medical personnel who have not had their vaccination, as well as any individual with the way I was told, a chronic health condition. Okay. So anyone that falls in that group could come by and check to see. I realize it's kind of we're right at the end of being able to call in to the county health department and get a time slot to be there. But I know they weren't all full around noon, 1 o'clock when we had our meeting and we got together. So that could be something that people would check on tomorrow morning.
Jim Bill, I bet nobody knew that as emergency management director, how many hats you wore. So you wear many hats, even down to coordinating the fair barn tomorrow with the vaccines. In the meantime, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, and we'll see you soon. Have a good evening.